Pat, I have breaking news.
Lay it on me.
It's not the good kind. I don't know if there is like a good kind of breaking news.
Are you pregnant?
No, I'm not. That would be... I'd find a way to make a lot of money off of that. That'd be great news.
That's the weirdest sentence to say.
So,
I would find a way to profit heavily if that biological miracle occurred.
So this is money related. Have you ever renewed a lease at an apartment?
Yes.
How much did the rent go up by?
Or wait, no, sorry, I haven't.
Okay. Well,
or if I did, it didn't, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So I've renewed leases before, and the rent has gone up by $15, $25, maybe $50. I'm on a month-to-month lease right now, and we signed an agreement that it would go up $50. Not a big deal, whatever. We just got a letter on our door that said, on February 15th, which is in 62 days, our rent will go up from $1,553 a month to $6,720 a month.
An increase of like 400% or something?
Yeah. So it's going up over $5,000 a month. And we have to give a 60-day notice before we move out. That gives us 2 days.
This is real? Do you live in City Hall or something?
No, I live in like a shitty 2-bedroom apartment.
6,000, really? Is it a typo?
Almost no. Okay, so this is what I checked. It seems like they're trying to force you into signing a monthly or a longer agreement, right? So it says if you want to stay for 3 months, the rent would be only $3,472 a month. Now at 4 months, it drops down to $1,752, which is still an increase of $200 a month. If you want to stay 6 months, though, for some reason, it's about $2,500 a month. And then somewhere around 7 or 8 months, it's an increase of about $50. Yeah. How is that legal?
My reaction is I've never signed anything below 6. I've never even seen anything offered below 6. And month to month is always the skewer. So that seems not surprising to me, actually. They just want you to sign on for 6 months or a year, right? I mean...
Well, actually, if you sign on for a year, since they don't want to be renting the place out in January, it's about $2,000 a month. So it sounds like they really want you to get out of here on August 1st. So they're giving you the best rate if you leave August 1st.
I don't know. That doesn't sound me like, so they're saying the 6 month thing is the most reasonable?
8 months.
I can't say I'm super surprised by that.
Wow. Okay.
I'm surprised that there is such a jarring number for the month to month. But,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they're going to do something to the property in August or next fall, some kind of construction project.
I don't know, dude. I have no idea. Give me 1 second.
It sounds like it's something involving their business, honestly.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
crazy.
They run the place and they've given you 60 days or 2 days, or you know what I mean.
2 days to figure out where I'm going to move. Thanks.
Well, 2 days to give them notice.
Yeah, 2. Okay, gotcha.
To give you another 2 months. I can't say I'm very surprised. I thought it was standard to sign at least 6 months at a time.
So while I ask you, should this be legal, I'm going to go turn my heat off, which I forgot to turn off.
Okay. Oh, did you ask before you stood up?
Pat, should this be legal?
Yes. 1, you chose to live in Denver. 2, they are a rental company and you're playing by their rules anyhow, and they're giving you a couple of days, which is shitty but not illegal. I don't think it might be. You might want to consult with local free help there, legal help. Yeah, I don't know. I would say you dug your own grave by moving to Denver, and then, yeah.
You're supposed to be on my side, dude.
I'm just saying, I'm not shocked. Like, I've never had a good experience renting, so.
Right, well, there you go.
No, I mean, like, you're talking to the wrong guy. You're like, hey, man, this landlord's being pretty shitty. It's like, oh, yeah. I don't know.
Par for the course.
Death and taxes, etc. Right? I don't know. I'm just not that shocked. Sign the 6 month and figure out your long-term plans after that would be my advice.
Yeah, just I don't
Sounds
know.
like the
I'll move
6th
to
to 8th
Cincy.
month, the 6th to 8th month deal gives you what you had agreed on anyhow. The $50 increase, right?
Well, it's another 50 on top of that 50, which was 50 more than when we started. So it was essentially be 150 more than when we started.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, move, right? Give them your 60-day notice and go somewhere else, whether in Denver, to LA, back to Erie, back to Virginia, to Cincinnati.
Cincy.
Which is, I guess, is our segue. Sorry not to like blindly stick up for you more, but it's just you and me talking. So I figured I'd be honest with you. Yeah, so you visited Cincy this past weekend, which might be why you are voluntarily bringing its name up in potential suitors for your new home someday.
Yeah, it was it was a weekend to remember for sure. One I hope I won't forget. And other romantic notions such as that.
Well, shall we dig right in? You have mentioned something about merits, and I wanted to start with a little bit of housekeeping by asking what is that?
Merits?
50 million merits?
Oh, okay. Right. So there's a have you ever you've seen the show Black Mirror, right?
I have. It freaks me out and I hate it a great deal. I respect it, but it just is too real. Like, I already am scared by what's happening in life. That's, in this country, in the world, I guess, rising oceans and whatnot. So to watch it be so realistic and well done in like my leisure time, I'd rather, I don't know, watch comedy specials or sleep.
Sure.
It just gets me.
Okay, yeah. So there's an episode called 50 Million Merits. It was the first episode I saw because I heard them talk about it on Hello Internet, my favorite podcast. Essentially, the storyline is that you live in these, obviously it's like this futuristic kind of dystopian, thing. You live in these small rooms with like 360-degree walls of LED screens, and you basically...
Oh, is it the dude from Get Out episode?
I don't know.
Where he limits his toothpaste in order to get on that game show?
Well, it's not. It's maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, so like you have to like ride a bike and you get these merits or whatever. And when you're
it is.
Right. Okay. So when you're in your room, these pornographic commercials come up and you can skip them, but you have to use your merits. You have to like pay to skip the ads, and it's like goes 360 degrees all around your wall, and it's really loud, yada yada. Megan, that is the one episode she will not watch with me because it freaks her out so much, and I was like, why? It's like the best episode. It's so good.
It ends with...
Yeah. Well, you don't need to spoil it for everyone. I'll beep that out.
Oh, well, it's been out for years. If I've seen it, trust me, the people who wanted or needed to see it have seen it.
Okay. So basically what happened on the flight from Denver to Chicago, where my one layover was, they had screens in front of on the back of the seat in front of you. And the flight was at 5 a.m, so it's still dark.
Some might deem to be a positive thing.
Some.
Maybe not at that time of day, but...
But here's the issue. It was dark out. These screens are bright, and I'm in the economy section, so the front seat is about 9 inches from your face. And it played the same three movie trailers on loop the whole flight, and you had to pay money to either turn it off or watch what you wanted to watch.
What airline?
It was on United Express.
Is United Express their answer to the
Spirit
Allegiant stuff? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why well, we should preface this with you getting like an $80 ticket.
$80 round trip, right.
Right. Okay. So that's the major legacy airlines have been launching these express flights to compete with Spirit and Allegiant. Am I missing any? I probably am.
Frontier,
right.
even Delta's doing it.
Have you flown any of those smaller airlines at all?
Both, yeah. Frontier is much better than Spirit. Spirit is just bottom of the barrel, but still you can get somewhere for like $30 round trip. So you kind of take it, you know.
I guess I hope you don't mind. I'm curious the similarities between United's similar offering, whether or not Allegiant and Spirit have those screens like you just mentioned. Who does it better? Who does it worse? Is it worth it? Because I haven't really heard anybody who's had the experience like you have just give me a straight answer about whether or not. I mean, what are you really buying with the other ticket for something like American or Southwest, things like that? I'm just curious.
So I was on 4 United flights over the weekend, and only one of them had that screen, and it just happened to be when it was dark out, so I couldn't sleep because the 9 screens into your peripheral vision were just flashing lights at you. And I found a way to kind of wrap my beanie around the seat in front of me and drape that with my scarf underneath it so that it covered up the screen. But still, there were 8 others in my vision that every time the screen turned white, it woke me up. It felt like a nightmare, dude. And like for a second, I was like, yeah, this is bad. Like this thing is right in your face and you have to pay money to get it off. It's just like that show. I can totally see that becoming normal. And now it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, that is interesting. What used to be... Because, I mean, to me, when you're on one of those longer flights and they play a movie, which is very rare, like 20% of the time, because I used to go from Ohio to Albuquerque rather frequently. It's weird, yeah, them using that screen to kind of torture you or, like, force you to pay money seems odd. But
yeah,
I am also not shocked, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's I guess it's, at what point do you draw the line? Like, is it on... Do you chalk it up to you are putting yourself in a position to be treated that way by flying or by flying economy, like a majority of the population can only afford to do, myself included? Or is that just something you should like violently revolt against, right? As certain, goods and services start to lean towards just utter disrespect for the consumer, right?
So I totally understand their $40 each way baggage fees. I understand the $3 Coke, the $4 muffin when you're on the flight.
$3 Coke doesn't sound so bad, actually.
Yeah, like a $3 can
on a flight or in a ballpark,
whatever it is. I get that because some flights, like Spirit, you get the ticket and that's it. You get to carry on a bag. You don't get the pretzels. You don't get the food. So I understand that, charging a lot to make up the difference if you want it.
Right.
But I think what happened on that flight, it is...
Do you feel it was a mistake or...
No.
It's something they're testing on one of their several planes, express planes.
I don't know. I've never experienced it. I've been on planes with the screen on the front, but you could swipe your card to turn it on and watch it. It wasn't forced upon you.
Right.
And it's got me thinking.
That reminds me of being at sleepovers as a kid, and I would always fall asleep before my friend would.
Same.
Just because I sleep easily, which is a blessing, and it's not a curse. It's something I enjoy, the ability to sleep soundly. But I would always wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom or something, and the DVD menu would be playing for like Happy Gilmore or some shit.
Right.
And I'd kind of sit there and weigh whether or not to get up and urinate versus how badly the 17th or 57th rotation of the Happy Gilmore DVD menu would be torturing me in my haze. And that kind of brings that to mind. Yeah, I guess how long are you willing to put up with that? I hope that's not the norm. I hope it was a clerical error of some sort.
Yeah, I specifically remember staying at Zach's house with you, maybe sophomore year of high school, and we watched bench warmers 3 times in 2 days. One of those times we fell asleep, and it seemed like every time the DVD restarted, it woke me up.
Oh yeah,
just all through the night, all night. Like, but I didn't get up to turn it off.
You always fall asleep somehow before the DVD rotation ends, I don't know.
Right, but
A
like,
dude
why?
that played Napoleon Dynamite going like every time gets you or something.
Like, why not just like get up and turn it off? But
Right, exactly.
you know, you're
like,
16 and you're lazy.
You
so
wait
whatever.
40 minutes, and it would have taken you 2.5 minutes to both pee and turn the TV off had you just gotten up to begin with.
Right, and you know, Scrubs season 6 is the only season I own on DVD, and the title screen soundtrack, or like 3 notes, is just burned into my brain from falling asleep with it on. It's just like dun dun dun, and it's like a chord that isn't super common, but there's a couple songs out there that use that like note progression, and I'm always like, oh god, Scrubs. Like,
right.
Get up and turn off the TV, man. Just do it. You're not that tired.
That's why I hated using songs I liked for alarms.
I've ruined many. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think 4 Year Strong's cover of Alanis Morissette's "Ironic" it was my freshman year of college song, and I used to really enjoy it. But it was almost like they came in soft with the cover. Like it's like, oh, this is gonna be a very nice, soothing acoustic cover.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. But really what it was it ended up being a race to wake up in time before they came in 4 Year Strong style and just destroyed your eardrums. You're like, oh, this is pleasant. Like, I don't mind laying here and listening to this. And then out of nowhere, it would be like, it's like rain. You know, and like deafen me slowly. And my roommate would be like, Pat, this happens fucking daily. Like, please don't ever put me through this anymore. But nonetheless, is it worth it? Is my question. Is the budget airline experience worth your $80? Or would you be willing to penny more up on the credit card in the future?
I think that nothing is worth the economy section. I'd almost rather pay the $200 for the regular or not business class, because the experience that I've had in the $80 round trip section of a flight is that you're surrounded by $80 people, like people that just have no they have like no social standards, right? Like, I had this lady, it didn't help that she was a very wide woman. She was almost half into my seat already, and she kept adjusting herself the entire flight and kept elbowing me in the chest just over and over and over, and like never once tried to like, oh, maybe if I lean to the right I won't keep hitting this kid. You get the people who have the sound on their phone and they're just blasting music. You just get like, I don't want to say low lives because I don't think that's fair, because I'd also be one of them. But you get people with, it seems like, less respect for the space they're in because it was only an $80 ticket, you know?
Are you, I guess, surprised by the experience?
Well, I didn't expect to feel like I was on a fucking Greyhound bus. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean, I guess that's what I was kind of alluding to. It sounds like just your basic bus experience.
Yeah, it is shocking. I guess it shouldn't be, but I think for now on, there's a book I was listening to called Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's by a guy called Grant Cardone. It's very good. And while I don't 100% agree with what he says, he's saying that, like, if you're going to go on a vacation and you don't have the money to fly first class or business class, you need to save up more to go on a better vacation. You aren't working hard enough or saving hard enough to not deserve, but I guess he might have said deserve a vacation. So like for now on, rather than like, oh, I can make it work for 80, just be like, no, dude, I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna work hard and then be able to reap the rewards of working hard, saving hard.
I don't know, man. It feels like a situation by situation thing. I mean, you could do a lot more if you're willing to take the bus. You could do, well, I don't know. Granted, riding the bus takes considerably more time. I don't know if I totally agree with that. Like, you shouldn't even, like, I don't know. They're just people. I mean, I don't know. People ride the bus. I rode the bus a lot when I was living in Cleveland because my car broke down, 1, and 2, I had to go down to Cincinnati a lot and I wasn't going to fly. things like that. So I rode the bus to work every day for a few months and then down to Cincinnati every other weekend during that stretch. And I don't know. It's just the state of it. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I get kind of numb to it or whatever. The one bad experience I've had with it was a body odor situation with a young man that was sharing the seat next to mine on one of the trips. But I guess, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, I mean, I don't think the statement is taking bus versus airplane. It's just like, do it the right way.
No, I'm saying, like, I don't know if I agree with, like, you should save up more and only travel as if you're this or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, because first class, the seats don't look that much farther apart.
No, I feel it. I mean, I think what he's saying is if you can't afford to do it the right way, you probably can't afford it.
Yeah, but what's the right way?
I know. I mean, this is also a billionaire who's writing this book, right? So it's different.
I don't know. I guess it's like fun to get pumped, but I don't know. I mean, granted, the one flight you had the screen and the lady was elbowing you, but 3 of the 4 were okay, right?
2 of the 4 were okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess to me, it's like, well, in most cases in life, you get out what you put into it, aka you get what you pay for when you're talking about being a consumer.
Sure.
And that seems like all that is to me. It's like, oh, my landlord from the apartment I'm renting treated me less than ideally. Okay, well, the life of a renter in my eyes, right?
Right.
I took the cheapest flight literally ever known to man, like the cheapest price to go into the air ever, other than like an amusement park ride. And I don't know. I guess it just doesn't. I don't know. I'm not trying to like take down from the fact that it was unpleasant. I guess I really don't know what I'm trying to say, Tom. But I guess my ultimate question is: you would say you would not do it again. You would save up and just take a regular flight.
I mean, I don't think that guarantees a better experience, but I might try, you know, or it might be just motivation to get a better job where I can afford better things. I can afford to buy a house so I don't have to deal with the shitty landlord situation.
Well, let me ask you this.
You know?
You're an Elon Musk guy. What if high-speed rail becomes a thing and there's the same situation? Like, is the progress of interconnecting cities with such short amounts of commutes, is that a positive thing to connect the world in this way? Or if it comes down to separating a better experience versus a cheaper, worse, more unpleasant experience, is it not worth doing in the first place?
I think it's definitely worth doing. I also want to note that Elon kind of made a passing comment about rather than flying by plane, you can take a rocket to get somewhere else on the Earth and get from here to Australia in 30 minutes, but you might die on the way there. That was something that was discussed, and if you really want to discuss the benefits of,
and if you pay 4 times as much, you might die on the way there in a single person rocket, or go circus style and actually get shot out of a cannon or something.
Anyways, yeah, that was interesting. I do want to get into the Cincinnati stuff, but I feel compelled to share the worst Greyhound experience I've ever had, which is the only Greyhound experience I've ever had.
Well, just to let people know that, you know, we had hoped to talk about our visit this past weekend with Zach.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that, and fans of the show will be still interested in that. But if you're listening to this show for the first time, I was just very intrigued to hear your thoughts on, you know, both public transportation, your worst experience, and if it's worth it doing all these things that, you know, I mean, like you said, it's worth, to me, it's really cool that these budget airlines forced the legacy airlines to even offer options like that.
Yeah, true. True.
It's going to get ugly and it's going to get odd on those trains. You know, you can't help how people behave on the train. But you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to know that the status quo was bucked a bit. You know, is it unpleasant? Sure. I guess I'm in the camp that flying has never been the most pleasant experience. You either have to ask for a ride, which is unpleasant, or park there, which is expensive, or taxi there, which is also pricey.
Yep.
And then you fly, and it pushes on your organs and brain, and you fart and get headaches, and you have to click your jaw, and I don't know, and read like profiles in what's the Southwest airplane magazine called? I forget. But like, I guess we're reading about Sarah Jessica Parker today. Oh, she's from Southern Ohio. That's neat. Just kind of, it's never been totally like, yeah, flying, except for this version of it. It's just kind of
Right.
transportation is kind of, road trips are fun, but there are the stretches where you drive that are also unpleasant. I don't know. I guess my bigger question is, what do some people expect? And are they trying to be the opposite of what they see as unpleasant also? You know what I mean? Because I've definitely been in that position where I'm in the airport and I'm just on the ground, exhausted, like being the person I've judged several times over. So I don't know. I try to be more sympathetic to a certain degree. I don't know. I guess I enjoy travel, or the actual travel part of traveling, less as the years go by. Is what I'm trying to say.
For sure. Yeah.
I enjoy the new experiences and all that, but the actual getting there has proven to be kind of a bitch, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a road
All
trip
the
guy,
time.
if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a stay on the couch kind of guy. But I do like a good road trip. I think the only setback from that is road trips just usually inherently take longer if you want to go somewhere interesting. And I've never
Right.
had that much time off of work, right? So
Oh, okay.
you just kind of got to get in, get out kind of deal.
I'd rather do a road trip than fly. I'll say that.
100 times over, yeah.
But like you said, it's tough to get the time. Well, I guess in the money for that matter to stay in a hotel in every city and all things like that.
Yeah, that's rough.
But no, I guess people listening for the first time will be like, what the fuck are they talking about? And what the point are they trying to make? Travel is cool. Sometimes it's not. Planes and buses have become kind of similar, even though they're not in a lot of ways. And eventually, I'm just hoping Elon Musk will shoot me places out of human-sized guns. But you want to get on to the main topic?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick.
Oh, yeah, you had the story about the bus and what you're about to say.
So when I first started dating Meg Jones, she was back in Erie. I was in Virginia. And there was like a $300 Greyhound ticket. This is before Megabus existed. And I started taking $5 round trips from Erie to DC.
Megabus was outstanding, and it's not even in Erie anymore. Also,
for
the
like
listeners,
a minute.
Meg Jones is not your fiance. She is a old high school flame.
Right. I've dated 3 Megans, and she was the first of 3.
Who was the second?
Megan.
Who was the third?
Megan.
Oh, nah.
Okay, so I went back home to see her. It was super expensive. Again, Megabus.
I can't imagine paying hundreds for a Greyhound ticket.
I didn't realize that it was going to take, so a normal drive from DC to Pennsylvania, 7 hours. This Greyhound took 14 hours and made about 18 stops along the way.
Yeah.
It was miserable, absolutely miserable. The way back, though, I was at the Erie station, Greyhound station, and this guy was sitting across from me, a younger guy, just staring at me. And I looked at him. I gave him the tightening of the lips and the little head nod, like the I acknowledge you look, and he just did not break eye contact. It's like, wow, this is super weird, right? So I get on the bus. He gets on behind me. We are 2 of maybe 5 people on a full-size Greyhound bus. I go all the way to the back because there's 3 seats next to the bathroom and you can lay down. So I lay down on the 3 seats, and this guy sits in the seat right in front of me. I'm not even kidding, Pat. He leans his chair back and continues to stare at me through the cracks in the chairs. I didn't feel unsafe, but
I feel unsafe just hearing about it.
But it was just so fucking weird. And I kind of turned around to fall asleep, and I don't know how long I was out, but I remember turning around, opening my eyes, and the guy is still staring at me. It was insanity, absolute insanity, Pat.
That sounds like one of those like Twitter trending items where it's like the scariest story in 5 words or something, and yours is like man on bus kept staring or something.
Well, that's the title for the show.
Yeah, sure. No, the man with the large fingernails who had the most abhorrent body odor ever. That was probably, when I realized that in a weird way that Jesse was, special to me. I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. Like I was literally face against the glass, like fishbowl status, just like, if someone was with a camera in a Wes Anderson movie on the outside, like, oh wow, yeah, oh, Owen Wilson impression, but I don't know. I guess the only silver lining was I was like, well, if he's just gonna smell this way near me this whole time, I guess farting is in play. So that's my silver lining from that, was just like,
sure,
all the way down to Columbus and then Dayton. Although Greyhound did have like a express service where it was like $5 to $10 extra to only stop in Columbus for 20 minutes and then keep going. But it was only certain times and things. I will say, I took the bus from Cleveland to Erie a couple times. Luckily, my work in Cleveland was only a block from the Greyhounds, so it was actually, I had a place to park downtown for free and all that. So
nice.
I'm oddly fascinated by, Jesse and I both actually, like life in the 40s and 50s. Kind of like what beatniks were doing versus what people in the show Mad Men are doing, I guess.
Right.
But there's certain like old advertisements about Greyhound of like, your boy going off to war and taking the Greyhound out to the fort, whatever, or like take the scenic Silver Bullet Greyhound out to the western, national parks. And it's like,
sure.
Now you think about going from Erie to, let's say, Jackson Hole or something to go to Yellowstone. That seems awful, right? Like that would be 3 days on a bus. But back then lucky. It was like the world was larger, and it was buy a ticket onto your Greyhound and head across the country to see the scenic, So I'm curious to hear if a time traveler was speaking with you about blinding, weird, crowded elbow. Sounds like the partner on the plane with you would be a mean 4 on a basketball team, kind of a power forward willing to throw some bows and get physical and grab some rebounds, like the Charles Barkley of travel passengers or something. Anyhow, on those travels, just to recap though, you say yes or no to budget airlines?
Oh God. Well,
it's okay to say no. I mean,
I have plans to make a lot more money next year, so I think for the rest of 2017,
Me too,
yes. 2018,
not plans.
Absolutely not.
Oh, all right.
Well, it'll be a thing of the past.
And then you can look back and be like, that was me once sitting next to smelly kids and all the like. But you traveled here in your travels, and our the third host, Zach, who couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately, or any of the nights.
Right.
You can't. Yeah, I guess I'd rather hear your take on the whole weekend. It was a pleasure having you, obviously, and we can get sappy later, but it was kind of a flash visit to see if you'd be intrigued, because we've joked a little bit on the show in past episodes about you moving here. And yeah, was that what it was? Was it a scouting visit, or I want to hear what you have to say.
I think it was like 30% scouting, 100% seeing you, and it just added up to more than 100%. You know what I mean? I don't know what I mean.
40% lollygagging and 5% a math lesson.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I really did want to see you, and I think we booked the flight, or we're talking about it before the thought of moving there was even on the table, right? Or is that off? I'm really bad with timelines.
It was similar enough to be non-related, I think.
Okay. I mean, I was curious to see it, but honestly, I didn't really care too much. Like, there's a Tesla store there, and houses are cheap, and my best friends are there. That's all I really needed.
Right.
But
I guess beyond that, tell me what you thought, or the experiences you want to discuss, or Did it surprise you at all?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that you're a very good host. The two times that I've like gone to visit you somewhere, I just think you're outstanding, right? Like you make sure that people get to see the things they should, have a good time, and didn't feel like cramming too many things in. It was just, I don't know, it was awesome. I had a really, really fucking like awesome weekend.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. It's always a tough balance between wanting people to feel welcome to come stay at your place, but you don't want to have it be unpleasant if they do so. So like Joe McShane and his pregnant wife visited, and we didn't have the extra room to let them sleep in a bed, so they had to stay in a hotel, which I felt really self-conscious about. And had she not been pregnant, they probably would have did the same thing you and Zach did, which was sleep on a couch and a mattress I bought off Amazon this week. It's like a 3-inch foam thing, which was a great bargain if anybody's looking out for any Christmas gifts.
And it was super comfortable. I slept on it both nights with a messed up neck, and it was great. I slept like a baby.
Yeah, I was going to get a futon mattress, but just based off some weird Will Arnett interview with Mark Maron, he said as a struggling actor, that was his bang for his buck best bed. But I Googled alternatives, and this little foam mattress. Anyway, Amazon it. You'll thank me later. No, but I'm glad you guys were willing to be up for anything. I mean, a lot of people, and I guess we'll get to the chili later, but a lot of people have, their set opinions about what they think Ohio's about, what Cleveland's about, what Cincinnati is. And there are some good and bad surprises that kind of come with where it is in the, compared to Indiana and Kentucky and things like that. But there's also some really cool architecture. And well, anyway, you got me rambling, Tom. Right. It was a good weekend, and I have like 10 things to talk about at once. But you want to start from the beginning?
Yeah. So I was surprised that like when we were driving back from the airport, you said something about Kentucky, and I was like, "Oh, is Kentucky like close by?" And you're like, "Yeah, we're in Kentucky right now. Like it is literally right over the river. Like you could throw a rock at Kentucky from
the Ohio
Cincinnati.
River is the border there."
Yeah, which was surprising. Is there a Cincinnati, Kentucky?
I've not heard of one, but that doesn't mean there isn't one.
I think when we were driving somewhere, I saw a sign for Cincinnati, Kentucky. Like it was just like, I might be wrong, but it was literally right there. That was surprising to me. I think everyone has their preconceived notions of what Kentucky is.
Sure.
Probably being close to Cincinnati helped its case in that 1 square mile we were.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's 3 counties that border the metro area: Boone, Kenton, and Campbell. And Covington and Newport are kind of the 2 cities that are right across the river. Cincinnati's vying for an MLS expansion bid in 2020 because their soccer team wants to, move up to the pros or the main pro level in MLS. Okay. And one of the site locations was in Newport because it's right on the river, maybe an eighth of a mile across the river from Reds Stadium. So yeah, they want to have it in Ohio for the economic impact. But, to me, it's like, why not just put it in Newport? Because people are used to going down to that area anyhow to go to sporting events with the football and baseball stadium already there. Anyway, smaller point. I'll stop talking for such long amounts of times in between. You're trying to make good points. It's very close.
Okay, yeah. But Cincinnati itself, I had no reference. I had no idea what to expect, but I knew that you liked it, and that was enough to be like, okay, it's probably awesome, I think it was almost like a less rusty version of Pittsburgh, and like it was a little more taken care of throughout the years.
Yeah.
So Amanda's advice, I guess, to consider Pittsburgh, I think was spot on. It in a lot of ways it reminded me of it. Denver obviously hasn't been around as long as cities on the East Coast and places like Ohio. So there's just like such a different vibe back farther east.
Living in New Mexico, they were like, we celebrated our centennial a couple years ago. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Right. You take a double take. But if you're from Erie or in where I don't know, it just feels like there's more neighborhood identity. There's more people from there that have done certain things in certain neighborhoods to help that identity.
Right. And,
or architecture.
The two places that I've lived for long term have been Erie, Pennsylvania, which doesn't have much of anything. It's a very nondescript place.
We can fist fight on the next episode about whether or not Erie's good or bad.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just like not much of anything. Like, what is special to Erie?
Oh my God, Tom. I'm going to fucking reach for this microphone and strangle you to death. Erie's the greatest city in America, first of all.
Oh, come on.
Wait, are you trying to pretend like the War of 1812 would not have altered the course of American history had Oliver Hazard motherfucking Perry not been on the fucking brig Niagara and not said don't give up the ship and not won the war? You son of a bitch. How dare you? How dare you stand there and say you're from the east side? You son of a damn bitch. You're a traitor is what you are. To the flag, to the Pennsylvanian flag, and to Erie, PA itself. How dare you watch the fountain in Perry Square and gleefully dance through its dirty water in the summer as everyone else in town also dirties up the muck. How dare you order a cheeseburger from the ghetto McDonald's down on 10th and French?
Oh, God.
I think I got the streets wrong. Anyway, that was a failed bit. Yeah, no, Erie's fun. I like it.
Well, okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that Erie, to me, and I guess maybe it was hindered by the fact that I left when I was like 17 or 18, didn't get to experience, whatever. But then DC didn't have much of a culture either because there were so many people in and out all the time. The people who are from there were like the cool people because they had like a little bit of that culture, but it was just washed out.
How much identity can a city have when the only people that live there are between the ages of 25 and 35, right? Like I don't know.
Right,
not that DC
and that's
doesn't
what
have
I mean.
An identity, but it's just very different than what some may prefer, I guess.
Right, and that's what I mean. There's people don't stay there long enough to like have a culture develop and maintain itself for decades. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Cincinnati, I felt more of that. I felt like everyone was super nice there. I just felt like at peace. It made me just another nail in the coffin for Denver. I hate it even more now that I'm back. But essentially Cincinnati, to me, I felt right away like this is a place I can see myself staying for a long time. I never felt that way in Virginia any of the 7 years, even when it was new and exciting. I thought Denver was awesome when it was new and exciting because I didn't have a job and I was just exploring kind of, and the mountains were cool. I've never seen mountains like that, but now it's just an expensive place with a lot of traffic and everyone's just trying to be like really cool and everyone's super high all the time. I don't know, man. Like Cincinnati was just like, it felt different. And of course, being with you and Zach helped the case. Being with people from home made me feel at home, but everywhere you went was super pretty. I liked the hills. It was green. It had the water and just everyone was so nice. And it made me realize how incredibly white Denver is as well.
You mean population-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's...
So you're saying it's like yuppies that like to climb or something?
In Denver?
Yeah, is that the point you're making?
No, it's just a bunch of white people.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Like I guess okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
To me, that was kind of like Santa Fe in New Mexico. It was like all these beautiful, small, like northern New Mexico roads, and like kind of like these yuppies in new Stetson cowboy hats or whatever would come like whipping down these tiny former trails that are barely paved in like Mercedes-Benz, whatever, and it was just like,
right.
Okay, this seems like this has been altered a bit. Like,
right.
We've something's been lost here to a certain degree. Kind of retiree havens seems like why bother?
Right. And I mean, everyone was super nice, right? Like a lot of, even like older people were like talking to us when we were kind of dressed up crazy. And
yeah. I guess so. Yeah, I guess for the listeners, SantaCon was this weekend, which I don't know if it was a national endeavor or just it was happening here this weekend. But We didn't know that and decided to go to Goodwill and get some sweaters, some very festive sweaters. To say, I think I'm downplaying it by saying very festive.
I had on
Tom
a children's like
onesie, like a nightie,
a nightgown that had like Christmas trees on it and
right?
Christmas
I think
ornaments.
There were polar bears,
rejoicing
on it.
And Zach was like, "Oh, we need to accessorize." He found this bucket full of like 50-cent things, and he put bows on all of us. We made these
poinsettias,
and I had Christmas ornaments hanging from my earlobes.
Plastic poinsettias.
Right. Yeah, I threw some ornaments in my ears, and I accidentally stabbed my right ear with one, and it bled for like a solid hour.
Because you have plugs in your ears, but you tried to fit both the plugs and the ornaments in at first, and then you gave up on that, I think, right?
Right, because I was trying to fit them underneath my the plugs that are pretty snug in my ears, and I like poked the inner skin, and it just bled a lot.
But luckily not onto the ice. So down at Fountain Square in downtown Cincinnati, we ended up going twice on that Saturday. It was much colder at night, but they have the little setup where it's like $10 to get a ticket in and get a pair of skates, and they sell cocoa and wines and things like that. It was just, I think the picturesque snow that Saturday afternoon was something as a host that I couldn't have asked for more from Mother Nature to provide.
Big fat
like, hey,
flakes,
you guys thinking about moving here? Hey, you guys want to just skate downtown? Let's see if it's something you see on TV, or like in movies or your dreams.
It was like Gilmore Girls,
beautiful,
where she's
giant. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I smell snow.
I love that comment of yours. It looked like a Gilmore Girls episode, and we were frolicking on the ice as if it were.
I feel like we're already super disorganized. It's probably my fault because, again, there's just so many things I want to say.
Right. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about airlines at first to get something productive for the non-fans that might have joined us this week. But at least half the time it's us being friends, I suppose. So feel free to bail, enjoy yourselves, watch Black Mirror and be sad and worried all the time. But yeah, I think Zach was also quite taken by the town, and we discussed for almost seriously, and you can maybe amend my statement better because you're not me, you're you, and you know Zach as well. You both seemed rather intent on fulfilling the whole living in the same city someday thing, and without me pushing at all, I didn't feel like.
So I was already sold on the idea of it, and again, I'm engaged.
That's the last thing I want is for Megan to be like, just because Pat's asking, I'm like, I want you guys to make a decision on your own. I just want you to know that I'm here for a bit, and if you also feel you're in search of a home, it could be really cool if we all end up in the same place like we've always talked about.
Right? Yeah, we always talked about that, and I'm not single, so I can't just get up and leave. But if I were single, I probably would have stayed in Cincinnati and had my shit shipped to me.
Damn. Well, we would have tried to find you work somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's Uber, right? I mean, there's a Tesla store there. I got some editing jobs lined up for next year. I would have been fine, especially with $400 rent,
You could have found something that was remarkably cheap, yeah.
Right. So there were a lot of things that I loved before I got there, just with terms of like jobs and the housing market, and just like there's a lot of bungalows around there, and Megan and I are both very attracted to bungalow style homes. Kyle and Kylie have like the most gorgeous home I've ever seen in my life, like especially with the way they decorate it. It's just
do they rent or own?
They own. Like the thought of living in a place like theirs is just like, what more could you ask for, right? I'm with someone I love, being in a city that I would love, with friends that I love, living in a home that I love that I'm not paying that much for. Damn. I mean, yeah, I'm sold, right? I'll leave right now. Especially with my rent going up in 2 months. It. I'm out. I'll leave, I can buy a house for half that, essentially. I don't know. The thought of You, me, and Zach all together. We've talked about that. The original plan was DC when I thought that, like, maybe I was just feeling lazy and was like, well, I don't want to move. You guys can move.
Right. Which I feel guilty now that, like, I feel less guilty because we never talked about Cincinnati, and it's like, well, maybe, you know, but it would have felt guilty if I was in Albuquerque, like, yeah, just come on out here. Like,
right.
you know, like, move fucking far away from everything, which would have actually been pleasant because I like Albuquerque a lot. But
Okay.
Cincinnati feels more like a neutral location.
Well, okay, so the thing I think I liked most about Cincinnati is we've had discussions. We did a whole episode on, like, how I like to personalize everything, make it my own. But, like, I don't think the vibe I get from Denver is that, like, a lot of the people my age try so hard to be unique, and it's gotten to the point of, like, obscurity where it just and not to be, like, judgmental. I guess I'm going to sound like it because maybe I am being judgmental, but they just kind of look crazy. Like, I don't know, like, full down to the ground trench coats in order to, like, stand out a little bit or something. And I like my stuff to be unique, but it doesn't, I don't know, like, that's not my vibe, I guess. And I think the fact that, like, there's so many people in Denver who try so hard to be unique that I feel, like, super normal, that it almost is, like, kind of weird for me. So I feel like being in a place like Cincinnati just seems very normal, and I would fit into that, but have, like, a unique, I don't know, does this make any sense what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it feels more normal, like I could fit in and still be a little unique rather than just feeling like, oh my God, these people are crazy. I feel like the sane one in the situation. I don't know how to
I'll
better
say this.
explain that.
Yeah, I mean, the desire to be cool is very normal and real, right? I mean, we all have gone through it at one point, or still are. Or
it's not necessarily to be cool. It's like to still
hold
blend
on.
in.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
I've said this before. I've said this before about you wanting to move to perhaps Asheville or perhaps other places, right? And if anybody has Portland or Austin on their list, they've heard me soapbox about this before. Yeah, Cincinnati is just a fucking place where things can happen for you. So is the place you were born. You know, if you, I don't know. Everybody's cool, and everybody can make a place cool if they spread love and have love returned to them. I don't know. I mean, granted, if you want to be an actor, move to LA, that's fine. But there's just, I think there's something to be said for just picking a place and hanging out with the people you love and trying to log good hours of life with the people that matter to you, right? Which is bumper stickery, but I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, if you feel normal and fine and am I getting close to what you were talking about at all?
I think so. Yeah. It's just like a normal place where I don't know. You don't have to try.
Well, not even
People
overly
don't have to
normal.
try
Like,
so hard.
thank God I'm in Ohio and not near where people are trying to do things. You know, because there's still
Right.
fucking people trying to do things here. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. To be cool, do you have to move to Denver and wear a trench coat? No, right?
No,
Like,
and that's what I mean.
fundamentally, fucking no.
People go to Asheville because it's like the cool place. It's the hip place, right? And
Right,
I know.
but yeah, that's my whole point. It's like, why move anywhere to be cool? That's what I'm saying. Like, Erie's a fine American city to be in. I think it's the fucking best childhood experience you can ask for, truth be told.
Yeah, like Erie, I don't know. Erie wasn't like a bad place to live. Again, I said it earlier. I was young, so you didn't really get to experience anything that possibly could have been that fun because there wasn't that much to do for kids, but that's not my issue anymore. It seemed like there was a lot to do in Cincinnati. The first night we got there, we literally went to a hole in the wall to order like those taco kind of things.
Yeah, Gomez Salsa, I believe, is the name of the restaurant.
Like, literally, there was a hole in a brick wall that you ordered from, and it was some of the best food ever. We ate there, and then we went to...
It was basically Crunchwrap Supremes, I think, kind of. That's what they sell.
In elevated,
Taco Bell
right,
fans
Crunchwrap
out there.
Supreme.
Right, elevated's a friendly way to put it.
And then we went to a bar that it was like a brewery on the top floor. There's like a warehouse, had like 30-foot ceilings, and there was cornhole. We ended up picking up a
super Midwest vibe, of course.
right. We ended up picking up like a nice young lady who was waiting for a friend to be our fourth player. We played some cornhole, and then Kyle and Kylie showed up with their friend Jared. And then the people next to us only had 3 people, so I went over there to play with them, and we were all kind of talking, and it was just like, those guys were so nice, and they were so much fun to talk to.
And they actually had a connection to people we knew back in the area as well. In a weird way, one of them went to college with a girl we used to know. She ended up playing college volleyball, where he was playing baseball, but he was like a prospect for the Reds, I guess, was one of the cornhole players that we were with.
Right.
It's just such a small world scenario.
And yeah, he was there with his manager. I tried to get you a minor league baseball contract because you played.
Yes, which I appreciate. And the endeavor was a failed one, but no fault of yours, of course. It was just the actual skill level of me and the agent's ability to tell that from cornhole playing.
Right.
No.
But it was.
I was like, think of the slowest thing you've ever seen thrown, and then
subtract
minus 10 miles an hour off of that. That is what I bring to the table, sir. If you're interested, I'd like to start for the Cleveland Indians right away, please.
But yeah, the cornhole was fun. I ended up on our last round. We were about to win, and I didn't realize that you could like go bust on cornhole. And I got 3 in the hole for 9 points, and we went over, and we ended up like losing. And I was like, man, I didn't know you can like win. Like I was too good, I think was the problem. I was just too damn good.
Yeah, you had. Is it called? Here's the real question, and put it up on Twitter, I suppose. Is it called a cornhole if you make it in the hole during a game of cornhole?
Oh, true. Yeah, I don't know what you call it.
But you got one of those.
I got 3 of them.
Oh, yeah, in one turn?
Yeah.
And then you lost the game?
And I lost because I only needed to get, I got 2 in, and they're like, you just need 1 more, meaning 1 point, like just get it on the board.
Right, like they had acquired the amount of points to win, and or too many that they would bust. And you scoring a certain amount allowed them to get canceled out enough to win. Am I
so essentially
recapping that correctly?
I think you played a 21. They had 20 points, and we had like 14 or something. So if I would have just got 7, we would have won. But I ended up getting 9, so we went over and like lost or something. Like it was like
Zach in the game with Zach and I, they had 24, and on his last try he got a cornhole, and he was like, yeah, but it automatically subtracted 3 from their score of that turn and put them at 21 exactly. So he like hit a game winner, but for them it was like, whatever.
So we both lost by doing too well.
Yeah,
it seems like a bad game. Like it shouldn't be an option to be either way. But it was fun, and then we went from there. Again with Kyle, Kylie, Jared, you, and Zach. No Jessie at this point; she was still at work. And we went to a bar called 16-Bit, and it was free arcade games, like totally free. The pinball was like $0.25, but you could just walk up to a game and play as long as you wanted. I guess you're supposed to get a drink, but it didn't seem like they were really monitoring it at all.
Right. Pac-Man, Burger Time, Asteroids, stuff like that.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was such a good night. We ended up, we left and we stayed up and watched some 41 videos until like 2 a.m. And that
which is Jessie, what she does every time she's tipsy.
Right.
She's like, let's just watch music videos on YouTube. And it ends up being like a Sum 41 or Angels and Airwaves or Blink or Avril Lavigne or something like that.
I think she put on Goldfinger at first, and I was like, yeah, this chick's cool. Good job, Pat.
Oh, that was me. I put on the Goldfinger.
Oh, damn, I thought she did.
But she always puts on Blink or Angels and Airwaves or Sum 41.
Well, you're cool, Pat.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah, Saturday, we woke up. We did the cheese conies, which is Kyle's death row meal.
That's one thing I really wanted to talk about. What did Kyle say?
That's his death row meal. Keep that in mind from a couple episodes ago. Yeah.
Oh. I had forgotten.
Or maybe he was just flexing to show that like you and him knew something that I didn't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, Kyle.
I think he. Yeah, I apologize if I don't remember that exact tidbit. A lot of people have very strong opinions about Cincinnati chili, which is real. It's a style of chili which is smaller parts in it, and it's more of a sauce. You could probably argue. It's less red and more brown, so definitely more dookie in appearance. Dookie-like, I should say. And yeah, so they serve it. There's 2 chains of note, Gold Star and Skyline. And you could have a 3-way, which is equal parts cheese, shredded cheese, spaghetti noodles, and this Cincinnati chili, which you enjoyed, right?
So there was a chili place down the road from my old place in Arlington that had Cincinnati chili, and it was always the one that I picked, for sure. I've always liked it a lot.
Ooh. Did you like the cheese Coneys were also something we all enjoyed very much.
They were so good. It was just like, an Oscar Mayer hot dog on a white bun with a lot of chili and even more cheese.
The amount of cheese is what's jarring. So when I read people write for like Deadspin or, these national dudes that grew up near here who write these like think pieces about, is Cincinnati chili actually good? People have such strong opinions. And I really don't know why, because it's no more, no less a chili dog, right?
A chili cheese dog, yeah.
Right. That was the amount of cheese jarring? Yes. It's kind of, to me, it's like when you buy a discount plane ticket, you should expect the passengers to be perhaps of a different vein than, I don't know, going to fucking an art museum in Paris. I don't know, right? Like, what do you expect when you do certain things? When you go to a chili restaurant in Southern Ohio, what really did you want out of that experience? And people write these really crazy columns about like, I fucking hate it. It looks like poop and there's so much cheese. And it's like, well, I mean, come on, man. Like, what did you expect this whole time? I don't know.
I loved it. I think the
Tom.
amount of cheese was spot on, and I'm lactose intolerant. Right. It is a lot of cheese. I'll have to tweet a picture, I guess, and I'll put that in the show notes. elemental.fm/reminiscence/55. It'll be in there. It is a lot of cheese, dude. Like, between the 3 of us that had, like, we each had 2 cheese Coneys, and what was the spaghetti dish called? Was it just Cincinnati chili? Or no, it was a small 3-way.
It was a 3-way.
3-way, yeah. Probably 2 bags of shredded cheese for the 3 of us, like 2 full bags. And I turned to Zach and I was like, how many hundreds of pounds of cheese do you think they go through a day? Like 5? Like 500 pounds of cheese? Like, I could see that on a busy day. For sure. Just the right amount, though. It was good. And we had the pleasure.
What surprised me was the next day, we were like, what do you want to do for lunch? And you guys were like, well, isn't there another chain? And we went to Gold Star and had the same meal over again.
The same exact
Shockingly
meal.
Similar. Yeah, same exact. Except, did we come to the conclusion that Gold Star, the chili itself, was spiced a little better?
I feel like the hot dogs almost tasted like you could taste the hot dog more in it. I think that in a blind tasting, and I feel like if we were at the first place and you gave me a dog from one place and a dog from the other, I would have no idea they were from different places. But when thinking about it, I think I chose Gold Star, which was the second place. Maybe it was just because that's where we were at the time. But yeah, right. Gold Star was good. They were both good. I think Gold Star might have been microscopically better.
Yeah, I just thought the chili itself was a little different there in a good way. You actually bought some packets to mix at home, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I bought the little spice packets. And again, I bought them. There was no price tag on it. I thought maybe they'd be like $4 a piece. And they were like $1 a packet or something. And you were like, yeah, Tom, we're in Ohio. Like,
right.
Everything's
everything's
super reasonably priced.
Fine, man. Right. I don't know. People take shots and all that. And a cousin of mine recently texted like, which city that starts with C do you live in Ohio right now? And I said, Cincinnati. They said, oh, Cincinnati? And I was like, excellent zinger, bro.
It's it's beautiful, man. I love it.
It is shockingly beautiful given what you probably assume. It's just so odd. Anyway, yeah. There's nothing at all wrong with it. The only thing is there's a little bit of twang the further south you go in Kentucky and the further west you go towards the Indiana border. But you can, I don't know. I've only been here for a few months, so I'm not going to give you a definitive anything, but there's definitely many upsides that I had not foreseen.
Yeah. I mean, I think downtown was beautiful. I got Megan a coffee mug of Fountain Square with the lady that shoots the water out of her hands. I ended up looking up pictures of it on Instagram to show Megan the ice skating rink. And I saw pictures of the fountain lit up. And my God, Pat, that is like the most beautiful fountain I've ever seen in my life. Like,
it's pretty good, yeah.
Wow. I mean, Logan Circle in Philly is pretty outstanding. Probably mostly because of the Wonder Years song that was written about it that I feel a connection to it. But it was amazing. I kind of wish that I had the money to get some kind of impression of the fountain tattooed on me while I was there to remember the weekend, but also it's that beautiful to me.
It was worthy of a tattoo.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stupid tattoos on my body, but that would not be one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I loved it. And plus, you took us to the highest point. We went in that sketchy elevator.
Yeah. Carew Tower. It is a hell of an experience.
That was amazing. Yeah, it was just great. And we went on that short hike. We saw the city from the top of that one hill by the river. It's beautiful.
Eden Park.
I felt like kind of emotional there, man. It was just, I feel so disconnected from Denver where I'm living. And I feel like so many people absolutely love this place. And I think if you listen back to maybe episode 9 or 10, you probably heard me going on and on about how much I loved it here. But that was, I don't know, that was from a spectator standpoint. And I guess you could argue that's what I was in Cincinnati. But like, I don't know, man, I felt something. And there's water, there's trees, it's green. The people were so nice. It's the right size city. Plus, like, we hanging out with the Dungeons and Dragons the guys from Meet In A Tavern, one of my favorite podcasts. It's a 5e Dungeons and Dragons real play podcast. Got to hang out with them the first night in Covington, Kentucky, which is right over the border from Cincinnati. That was amazing. Even a stronger case for like wanting to go there. Like, those guys were super awesome. Everything about it, dude. No traffic, right? Really beautiful architecture, a lot of stone and brick. Best friends. I'm ready to go, man. I'll move February 14th when my rent goes up 450%.
Do it. Work the transfer out, man. Get the $400 rent you've always wanted.
Right. Yeah. It would be something, man. It would certainly be something.
I was surprised how into it you and Zach were, to be honest.
Well, also, we were discussing if I owned a house, you're looking at buying a house. Zach is a current homeowner, so he would just sell his that he flipped, make a profit, and buy another one, right? Probably be easier for him. I was thinking I would buy a house that had a basement suitable for a recording studio, hopefully a guest bedroom in the basement, and a place to like set up drums and amps and play. So we can get the old band back together.
Ooh.
We could jam at my house. Zach is a stonemason and he does some woodworking. He wants to have like a workshop at his house, and the three of us are all kind of inclined in those areas, so we can build stuff at Zach's house, and then we can hang at your house, right? Like,
Yes.
That sounds like the best thing I could ever wish for. You know, like I had so much fun on the weekend. I stayed up till 3:30 in the fucking morning, and I'm the kind of guy that goes to bed. I want to go to bed at like 7:30 most nights. And it was great. It was so effortless to just hang out with my friends. And I thought like I can get used to that on the weekends. I hate the weekends here because I'm so fucking lonely. And I don't know, man. I just saw a glimpse of like how good life could be when you're around people that you love. And
Yeah.
just,
I mean, every city
yeah.
has their problems. And, it's kind of like fad diets. You can't expect life to change based on one thing you change, right?
Right.
Like you can't just start juicing and expect to survive and be excellent, like happy. Eventually you're going to have to eat hard food. But yeah, I think surrounding yourself with loved ones is not an ill-advised venture, right? If it makes sense, of course. If your significant others are on board and you have a good situation work-wise and, something to rush into, but it would just be the bee's knees, my good man. If it somehow came to that, it would just be really good.
Yeah, I'm into it. I know Megan has some things that she's in the middle of that understandable,
It might not happen till 2019, right? Sorry, I yawned that out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it depends on how bad it gets here. Like with us not making enough money to actually survive out here.
Sure. Well, that's gonna play into it wherever you go.
Right. So I don't know. I guess
you need to make more than you spend to live.
Right. Which neither of us are doing. So that's bad. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sold. That's all I really had to say. I feel like I was already into it before I went there, but I just felt like it was a place I could see myself.
Cool.
Call home.
Well, that's very exciting. And there are giant, comically large Gilmore Girls snowflakes every weekend, and the ice is always frozen every weekend. And no, it's cool that I'm really, really pumped you guys enjoyed yourselves. Zach and I went to a place in Kentucky called Rabbit Hash after you left. Just a cool spot along the Ohio River in Kentucky. I don't know. There's just everybody, Jess and I always talk about, we almost made Albuquerque our home. And, if you can make anywhere home. It's just, you got to start with what you want yourself. Anyway, not to get too preachy. Would you like to move on to the highlight, or was this the giant highlight of the week?
Yeah, I would just say this whole thing was the highlight of the week. Maybe tie into that. We had written down like what was like maybe the funniest moment or like the best like take back of the whole thing. And
yes,
the video that I got of Zach at the ice rink. I'm like, such a good moment that I captured. I think my Instagram is private. I'll have to find a way to get that on so I can put it in the show notes for like no one to see.
Yeah, we had just gotten there and he almost took on not Elvin, but like a fairy. Like it was that picturesque with the snow. He was like, "Come along, I have a secret." And,
yeah. So I'm skating.
It came out of nowhere.
I'm skating behind him, and he is looking back with his mouth wide open, like he has the biggest secret to tell someone. And I'm skating, and he keeps kind of zigzagging back and forth, looking back at me with his face. And then he gets real close, and he's like, "I have a secret. Come along." And then he just takes off.
It was very mystical.
His demeanor, his posture throughout the whole thing. I've watched it probably a dozen times since I got home and just laughed my ass off. Yeah, that might have been maybe one of the moments I'll remember most out of the whole experience.
Yeah, it was good. For me, I think eating chili twice in the 2 days you were here was just remarkable to me, and I had not eaten it since I arrived, so I was kind of glad to get an opinion on.
You were afraid of seeming like a tourist, right? So you were able to use us as the tourist so you can fulfill.
Well, I had eaten Skyline before, but I had not had it since I arrived when I moved. And Jesse's not in a rush, to put it kindly, to try it. But I enjoy it. Like people always complain about, and here I'm going on the same rant all over again, but it's like if you don't want to eat chili, don't fucking go, and then don't talk
Right.
about it, right? I don't know. But to me, it's tasty in a pinch. Like there are those days where I go get a Wendy's cheeseburger after work because I don't have groceries and I only have a couple bucks and I want to just eat something. And to have the option to have chili cheese dogs when the mood would strike, if it were to, is fucking just an okay thing to have around. So back off, you motherfucking wolves and snakes out there hating. You haters. You effing haters. No, that was interesting to me. And I'm glad I now have an opinion that Gold Star is better. The hike we went on was good out at Mount Airy. There's more hikes to be had if you guys move back, of course, down at Red River Gorge in Kentucky. But, it was all very good. It was all really very good.
Agreed. It was good, as you
the best highlight was
put it.
You enjoying the, visit good. You enjoying your pad mattress that I bought off Amazon was actually my secret highlight because I got a lot of joy out of that. You saying it was worth my purchase.
Oh, it was great.
I was glad to hear it. I'd recommend it to anybody. Easier than a cot or a futon mattress. But would you like to begin the wrap-up process, good sir?
Yeah. Do you want to give a the Now You Know?
Now you know.
Yes, this is a little thrown together. You said, do we have a Now You Know this week? And I said, well, would you like me to tell you about Maria the First of Portugal?
And I said, absolutely.
So, gather around, ladies and germs. In the mid-1700s, she was part of the royal family there. And this was back before mental illness studies were obviously very well developed, right? Depression was just generally called melancholy, and it was something it's something they considered somebody could be born with, like an ailment that is just wired into you, which I guess wasn't too far off in theory. Anyway, moving forward, very religious family, very incestual family. But Maria I ended up marrying one of her uncles, her father's youngest brother. And she had a kid, and then the second one was a miscarriage. And then she had 2 more daughters and then 2 more miscarriages. I might be overplaying the second set of miscarriages thing. Anywho, her father died, and then her husband eventually died. Anyway, she came into power and did a lot of good things, but she was tormented through her religious beliefs. She thought her father's death meant that he was being tormented in the afterlife and things of that nature, the stuff he left behind. I think she felt she had to adjust while in power. Anyway, she would have these fits where she'd start yelling, and she had to be carried back to her quarters from town one night. And as she fell into her quote-unquote melancholy, people would say they could hear the shrieks rattling through the abode. Eventually, when the Napoleonic Wars happened, the royal family went to Brazil, where she carried out the rest of her days being very... Speaking of things of a sexual nature, and it is probably nowadays would be referred to as Alzheimer's, but yes, she was called the mad, not princess, not queen, but Mad Maria, but she was still revered nowadays to be one of the better rulers of Portugal throughout the years. I think she's respected as a leader, but her personal life was tumultuous, to say the least, and it is just kind of an interesting story of things that exist now in everyday life, things like depression and stuff like that. But she was just born into a royal family, again, a very incestuous family. So perhaps there were medical complications that came with, like, I think her younger brother married her aunt's youngest niece or something like that,
My
and
God.
like everyone, like the author of a few articles I wrote, the authors were like, thankfully, that did not bear fruit, like certain aspects of the family tree coming together. But there was definitely a lot of health complications in the family. But she was just kind of this tormented soul who took religion seriously, who just felt like she had gone to hell and would scream out like, Jesus, Jesus, like you just shriek in the, in their home. Anyway.
Wow.
And yet she was one of the greatest rulers in Portugal's history. So, now you know that is just to me, just a very interesting example of depression in the history of the world and how it was handled and treated and yet she is still revered to be have handled the duties at the helm of Portugal in the mid-1700s. So anyway, you asked for an emergency, now you know, and now you know that that is a part of history that happened. So she died in Brazil, by the way.
Okay. Woo.
That's it, man. Yeah.
More information on her. I'm sure she has a pretty good Wikipedia page in the show notes.
Yeah, actually, I'll give you some of the links that I think are probably. I was just doing some reading during my lunch hour today, and it got heavy for sure. Maria the First, Mad Maria. God bless
All right,
her.
well, let's do songs.
Yes, sorry, you just saying. I was like, you asked for an emergency, now you know, and that was just the thing I read about today. But
John.
songs, yes. Do you mind if I go first?
Do it.
I will go Skywalker by Miguel, but also Percolator by Charlie Bliss. I've been getting into Charlie Bliss's 2017 album Guppy lately, but it's worth mentioning Skywalker by Miguel because just like Waves was earlier this year or perhaps last year, Skywalker is a MFing jam. If you're looking to dance and move your feet, listen to that. If you're looking to get into a new album that is of an alternative rock nature, check out Charlie Bliss's Guppy.
Will do. As my neighbor's shower goes noisily on upstairs. The producer that I used to work with in Maryland, his name is Taylor Larson. He typically does like really heavy, like metalcore type music. And I found out a couple months ago he was forming like a super band with a metal drummer and a singer that I don't know, but he's relatively famous. Called Heavy Eyes, and they recently put out a single, actually today on Tuesday. It's called Bad, and I'm going to leave you with the fact that he's a heavy metal producer, but I heavily encourage you to listen to this song. I think you'll be surprised. You'll never guess what happens next. But either way, I'm actually interviewing. I'm going to do a production interview with him for the website. Probably be up by the weekend if he responds quickly enough. Really cool song. Really glad it's finally out. I designed a logo for them that they were going to use as the logo for the band, but then they found something else, I guess, which is cooler than the one that I did. But it was kind of cool for like 3 weeks. Their logo was something I designed. And I'm happy for him. It's really good music. And apparently he hasn't produced music that he wrote since he was 16, which is like 13 years ago, because he's just been producing nonstop for other people. So really glad to finally hear it. It turned out really well.
I will be sure to check it out.
Cool. Sounds good. Links for that in the show notes as well. If you missed it the last time, elemental.fm/reminiscent/55. If you haven't figured it out by now, it's the name of the show and the episode number. So there you go. Is that it? Song, right? Is it the last segment?
Yeah. Started more conventional and then got, this was designed to be more, I guess, perhaps of a self-indulgent episode, in which Zach was slated tentatively to join us.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully whoever is new to the show enjoyed the first 20 minutes. And if you're a longtime listener, you had a peek into what you've been listening to for the past year and a half. So here we are.
Yeah, and let me close out the show. I know that there are people, new listeners to the show, and I want to close out the show by saying that if you've made it this far, you can at least tolerate it. You might even like it. And if you do like it, you should leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and here's your motivation to do so. We received a review today, and I want you to top it. It is titled Grandmother's Cookies. And it goes, quote, "I would compare this show to grandmother's perfectly baked cookies. It has just the right amount of the highest quality ingredients to satisfy any listener. A heavy mixture of both intelligence and humor are the base for this delicious program. With dashes of sarcasm, wit, and banter, it offers even the pickiest of listeners something scrumptious to listen to. The relaxation segments not only center me completely, but also haunt my dreams. A truly surreal experience. I'll be a lifelong listener.
Who was that?
It was my buddy Jimmy, but he honestly loves what he's heard of the show.
Oh, okay. It sounds like we have to relax more often.
He always he knows that we record on Tuesdays because he's the one driving the van when I edit on Wednesdays, and he's always he was like, "Do you have any relaxation?"
Damn. Well, we should relax every week from now on. It sounds like
we should. Anyways,
and if you are curious what we're referencing, go back. If you made it this far and listened to the Christmas episode from last week, we open up with a Yuletide themed relaxation session where we try to get centered.
Yeah.
And you might enjoy it. We hope you do. Thanks for joining us, Tom. It was an absolute motherfucking pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, man. It was a good weekend. The best I have felt in at least a year, for sure.
It fills me with joy to hear that. My heart is very full. And we continue to chat after the show as usual, but so long. I'm trying to think. Arrivederci is the wrong word.
Arrivederci.
Au revoir.
No, it's, I only know that because Federico Viticci says that after every episode. Arrivederci.
Ah, well, au revoir, y'all. Just to mix a whole bunch of fucking dumbness. See ya. I love you, Tom, and have a good week, everybody.
Love you too, man. See ya. Bye.